Anonymous Watch Guy here with the State of the Collection video. It is that time of year again. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. This State of the Collection video is going to be a lot shorter in terms of watches, but it may be as long or longer because I may talk a little bit more about each watch. Last year's State of the Collection video had over 130 watches in it. This year there are 63. So a lot of changes to the collection this year. Let's see what 2024 holds for the collection. But first up, I've got some watches that I don't wear, either because you don't wear them, like the stopwatch or pocket watch, or the batteries need to be replaced and I just haven't done it and I don't really wear the watches. So I have not replaced the batteries. So first up is a Loris Quartz Mickey Mouse watch that belonged to my grandfather. Obviously, that watch isn't going anywhere, but I probably should put a battery in it so I could wear it. Next, I have the Invicta Bluesy Homage. First watch I ever bought from Joma Shop. It sits in a drawer. Not a bad little watch. Nice little beater option there, but I don't wear it. Next up, I have 3 different Fossil watches. These are kind of the watches that started it all. These sit in the drawer as well, and haven't had a battery in any of them in years. But they are definitely from the late 90s, early 2000s, when I kind of really first started getting into watches, and they are the only 3 watches that I owned in that time period that I still own to this day. Next is a Walkman Breitling stopwatch that lives in that box. It's just off frame over there right now, but it does work. This was also my grandfather's stopwatch as well. Really outstanding shape for being probably 50 years oldish. And then last up in this group of watches is an Elgin pocket watch from the 1930s. It also works. Really like the Art Deco styling on this one. I've got the back pulled off right now, so you can see that gorgeous movement. Look at that decoration on that Elgin stopwatch or pocket watch movement. Such a cool little watch. Definitely a big fan of pocket watches of that era. Next up, we're going to take a look at the G-Shocks and digital watches. All right, next up we have a 5600 G-Shock. This is a JDM model in the blue colorway with the yellow printing. Kind of a cool looking 5600 G-Shock. Love 5600 G-Shocks. They are always definitely very cool. Another square G-Shock. We've got the Super Mario G-Shock. One of the most fun G-Shocks there is. Huge fan of this one if you're an 80s fan or a Nintendo fan. The Mario G-Shock is a must-have for your collection. Next up, of course, we have the last square G-Shock, the USA G-Shock. Definitely a big fan of this one as well. And Alexa thought I was talking to her in there. She started talking. And then next we have the only Casio Oak still in the collection, the GA2100 series, the Casio Oaks. Really cool watches. I've got the clear version. Don't wear it a lot, but that one is not going anywhere right now. Next up we have the Bamford 6900 G-Shock with a negative display. Really love the black versus the baby blue on this one. That is super cool. Awesome look. Big fan of that watch as well. And then last but not least for the current G-Shocks in the collection is the Frogman. The anniversary edition of the Frogman that is titanium. And it is super big and super obnoxious, but also super awesome. Definitely a big fan of this one as well. Every collection needs a lot of affordable digital Casios, in my opinion. And next up is the king of watches, the do-everything, the Casio F91W. Kind of a small watch for me, but it's definitely a watch that every watch enthusiast should own. And they're extremely cheap. You can't go wrong with an F91W. Next up, I've got a couple AE 1200 WHs, also known as the Casio Royale. These are world timers. They do everything. They're really cool. As you can see, one thinks it's still yesterday, one's today. The time on these watches is probably all off because I don't wear them that often. But they are really cool watches. Again, this is the Casio Royale. Because it looks like a Seiko that James Bond wore in a movie. Bond never wore a Casio, but really cool watches. Fun to do mods. Some people do modding with those as well. Really cool watches. Next up, we have the A120WE Casio Vintage Series with the buttons on the front. Cool colors. Really awesome looking little retro looking watch there. Then, of course, we've got the Mission Impossible watch, also known as the DW290. This is the watch Tom Cruise wore in the first Mission Impossible movie. It's big, it's ugly, but it is cool. And then we've got another Casio here. We've got the Casio A168. Another great looking retro Casio. Love the look of that one as well. Next, we've got Marty McFly, the Casio CA53W. The 50W, I believe, is what Michael J. Fox actually wore in the Back to the Future movies. This was the model that came after that, but is known as the Marty McFly watch. It's the calculator watch. You can do all kind of cool stuff with it, and it is a must-have for any Casio collection. Next, we've got another world timer. It is the AE1800WH. It's a different version of the 1200. Also a really cool world timer Casio. And then last in the Casio and digital collection, we have the A700W. Again, cool little Casio, part of the vintage collection. Awesome retro looks. And that is it for the digitals and the G-Shocks. Next up, I have the remaining micro brands in the collection. And we'll take a look at all of that. I once had over 50 micro brands in the collection. 50 micro brand watches, that is. We are now down to just 8. First up, the Van Banner Parking Master 2.0. Awesome watch. Love the colors on this one. Really cool lume, really cool design, very unique. Next up, we have the Wise Adamascus 904L steel. Love the dial. Really awesome watch. Can't go wrong with a Wise watch. They are very well made. Next up, not really sure if this is a true micro brand, but the Adawak Spaceship. Another really cool watch. Very affordable. Alternative to a Urwerk or MB&F. Very cool watch there. Next up, we have the Sal Baltimore Balt Pilot. Love the crimson dial, titanium DLC. Really cool watch, GMT, world timer. Awesome watch. Next up is the Baltic Aquascaf. Great watch. Love the white dial on this one. Really cool dive watch. Retro looks. Great size. Definitely a favorite. Next up is the Visitor Dune Shore. Black Amaranth, DLC case, that gorgeous, almost purplish dial. Big fan of Visitor watches. Next up, the very hard to get Sangen or Sangen Instruments Overlord. Really cool watch. Quartz GMT watch. That one's probably not going anywhere. And the last in the micro brand collection is the Brew Retromatic Copper. Can't buy this watch anymore. Don't know if Brew's coming back out with this one again, but a really cool watch. And that's it for the current state of the collection of micros. Now it's the best of the rest. When I get to my top box, I'll let you know what the top box are. Those are the top 15 watches that are in my, I guess, favorites box. Those will be the last 15 in the video. But now let's take a look at the rest. Next up, the greatest budget watch of all time, the Casio Duro. Really awesome watch. Best budget diver you can get. The Merkur Rainbow Chinese watch. Really cool watch. It's got a decompression table on it, but it is got a 50 meters water resistance, so that's kind of weird. Next up, the Timex Todd Snyder Mark I Chrono. Can't get this one in this color anymore. Really cool watch. Definitely a fan of that. The only Timex currently in the collection. Next up, we've got the Yema Superman. Love the blue dial on this watch. It is awesome. Big fan of Yema. Really cool watch. That one's been in the collection for quite a while. Next up, we've got a Vostok GMT. Big fan of Vostok. Affordable mechanical watches. Really cool watches. Definitely a fan of that one. You've got a great watch for Christmas. The Vostok Komandarsky with its beautiful red dial. Definitely a fan of that one as well. Then you've got the Pamphibia, the Vostok Pamphibia. Probably my favorite Vostok, and the one that for sure would never go anywhere. Love the domed acrylic crystal on that one. It's got that Panerai look, hence the Pamphibia. Next we've got a Decla Turbulence. Another great watch for this time of year with that beautiful green dial and that red seconds hand. Big fan of German watches. Really like the looks of this kind of a modern Flieger watch, the Decla Turbulence. All right, next we have the Seikos currently in the collection. We've got the Seiko Ice Panda, the Seiko Speed Timer with that ice blue dial. Really cool watch. Next up, we've got the Seiko 5KX GMT with the yellow dial. I had the orange dial version of this watch as well, but I decided to keep the yellow dial version. Love that yellow dial on that one. Next up is the Seiko Kosuke Kawamura, the Seiko 5 limited edition. Like the old Seiko Sonar. Really awesome watch. Big fan of this one. Definitely that one is a keeper, I believe. And then the Seiko 5 55th anniversary, the Seiko 5 Sports, the re-edition. That's almost a one-for-one of the original from 1968. One of the releases of the year for 2023 for Seiko. Awesome watch. They had a lot of solid releases this year, honestly. Next up, we've got the Yunhan's chronograph, the Lemon limited edition. That was from the Alpine Skiing World Championships this past year. Then we've got another German watch. I've got a lot of those in the collection. The Laco Atacama UTC. Big fan of this one. That is the newest watch in the collection, the most recent edition. Next up, we've got the Swatch Moon Swatch Mission to Jupiter. My personal favorite moon swatch is the Jupiter. Was able to pick that one up this year. Really a big fan of that one. And then, of course, we've got the other awesome swatch and one of the other releases of 2023. The Blancpain Swatch Scuba 50 Fathoms. I've got the Atlantic Ocean version. It's on an Artem NATO right now. Definitely a really cool watch. And also one that's probably going to stay in the collection for a while. Next up, we've got the Belova Jetstar. Also a limited edition. This is the limited edition version of that. There are several different colorways. This colorway was the limited version. And then we've got a Citizen Suyosa, I believe the only Citizen currently in the collection. We've got the golden kind of yellow-orange dial Suyosa. My favorite colorway of that particular watch. And then we've got the Titoni Seascoper. Also a limited edition on this one, only 100 of this particular style with the black DLC case and the orange dial. Really awesome watch. If you haven't checked out Titoni, I recommend checking out the brand. And then we are up to the top box, so let's take a look at the last 15 watches in the collection that are in the top box. All right, here we are on to the top box, and the first watch is the Hamilton Khaki Field Expedition. The white dial version, definitely my favorite. Got it on a habit strap right now that I really like. Another strong release for 2023. This one's definitely a hit for Hamilton. So that is the first watch up in the top box. Next up, we've got another watch This one I've had for a little while, the Tissot PRX Chrono. I've had several versions of the Powermatic 80 PRX. Those have always come and gone, but this Chrono has stayed. One of the best watches you can buy, bang for buck, under 2K. It is chunky but funky, but it is an awesome watch. Big fan of the PRX chronograph. Next up, we've got a couple more German watches. The Stova Marine Classic Roman. I love the Navy watches or German deck watches, whatever you want to call them. This one is a manual wind Salida. Really awesome watch. Definitely prefer the Roman dial on these other than the Arabics. Big fan of the brand Stova. There are 3 Stovas in this box. The next one up is also a Stova, the classic Flieger. Love the thermally blued hands. Type A dial Flieger. I need to pick up a Type B. Another manual wind. This one's the ETA or ETA movement because this one's a few years old. But really awesome watch as well. The Stova Classic Flieger. Next up, we've got the Mito Ocean Star Decompression World Timer. Love the dial on this one. Really awesome looking watch. Love the retro vibes. Big fan of Mito. Great watch. Next up, we've got another German watch, the Junghans Meister Pilot. Big fan of the looks of this watch as well. Really cool case shape, awesome DLC. Love that kind of matte blue dial as well. The colors all work well together. Big fan of that one. The Norcane Neverest GMT is up next. Fantastic watch. I was wearing this one yesterday. You can see it still ticking away there. Big fan of the build quality on this one. Great looks. Definitely recommend checking out Norcane. Another favorite in the collection, the Tudor Black Bay 41 in silver dial. Awesome silver dial on this watch. One of the best silver dials out there. Can't go wrong with a Tudor. And that one will never leave the collection, I don't believe. Next up, another favorite, the Montblanc IC Automatic Date. This is probably my most worn watch of 2023. This one definitely sees a lot of wrist time. And it is just a really, really awesome watch. Great build quality. Love the dial on that watch as well. Next up, one of my favorite pickups of the year, the Accutron Astronaut T. Got a really good deal on this watch. Love the bracelet. This bracelet is just awesome on this watch. Really cool watch. If you could find one pre-owned for a good deal, definitely recommend checking one of those out. 3 more German watches. The Stova Seatime Pro Diver. Big, chunky titanium watch. Love the colors. Love the orange versus the kind of light blue dial. Really awesome watch. The Damasco DA36. Really cool watch. Love Damasco. So well made. This bracelet is fantastic. Great tool watch. Next up, another ultimate tool watch, the Zen 104. This is the matte version. So this is the special edition they did a few years ago. That's got the all bead blasted case, so it looks kind of like a Damasco. But an awesome watch. Big fan of the Zen 104. And then we've got an Oris, the Oris Aquas Date. This one's been in the collection for a little while. Love that blue dial. This is the Salida version on a rubber strap that smells like vanilla. Really cool watch. Definitely a fan of Oris. And last but certainly not least, the Zodiac Super Seawolf Watermelon. Love the silver dial on this one as well as the colors on this one. Zodiac does fun colors so well. Big fan of that watch. And there you have it. 63 watches, the current state of the collection. Many watches have left this year, but also many, many more have joined the collection. Not sure what 2024 will hold for the collection. That remains to be seen. But if you have any comments about any of the watches or what direction you think the collection should go in the new year, please feel free to leave a comment. If you liked the video, give me a like, maybe subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you very much for watching.